Hello everyone, welcome back. Don't walk away. Come back, please. Please come back. Or stop it. Oh God. No. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. To those that have been here before, welcome back. A couple of people have asked they want more details about the oil pump and the oil system that I use, so I thought I'd do a quick video talking you through it. There is a matter I want to talk to you about, but I'll deal with that in a bit. Again, to everyone that's already subscribed to the Patreon channel, thank you. Your money's already been put to good use. I'll have a video about that soon. But I've bought a special pump for the afterburner because this engine's going to probably be drinking, well, a lot of fuel in the afterburner especially. So yeah, to everyone that's already joined the Patreon, thank you. Your support is most heartily appreciated. So anyway, oil system. You could probably do this cheaper. Believe me, this isn't the cheapest way of doing it. I use two 5S LiPo batteries, which I've discussed. They cost best part of £1,000. So we get 22 volts with 44 amp hours. We need the 22 voltage to turn the pump, or turn the motor, sorry, at a sufficient RPM to get the volume, flow and pressure out of the pump. The pump is a Italian made Vivolo, V-I-V-O-L-O Group 1 gear pump. I'll drop a thing in there so you can see. Now what you need to work out on the chart, they'll tell you per revolution how many cc's of fluid you'll be moving. So it's a simple equation to work it out. It's basically your RPM times each cc. That will tell you your flow. There's no point me giving you what I've used, because for everyone it's going to be slightly different. Different engines, different needs. Then you've got a standard hydraulic suction strainer. I put a pneumatic check valve in there. The reason being is because basically the way they're built is there's no flow restriction for what we're doing. That then goes into the suction line and into a 3/8 BSP port. All of this is much bigger than it normally be, but I don't want restrictions on the suction side of the pump. You then come out 3/8 BSP into a T and then an elbow into a high pressure hydraulic, and when I say high pressure I'm talking 350 bar. It's literally nothing to this thing, and again it's well over engineered. There's a 10 micron bronze sinter filter in there to make sure the oil that actually goes to the turbo is as pure as it can be. It's got as little contaminants as possible. And the other thing is, if the gear motor ever decides to give up and start sending bits out as it breaks down, that will stop any bits getting into the turbo and wrecking your journal bearings. And then here we've got the control system. We've got a small pneumatic actuator, small cylinder. It's got a 1-inch throw on the rod, which then that sits on the back of the spring that goes into a hydraulic check valve. Now what I do is I tend to buy, you can get these check valves or inline flow control valves, people call them different things, and again I'll put a link up for a company that I buy these from, and they do rated ones that have you can control the cracking pressure of the check valve, and then all the rod does that comes out of this little pneumatic actuator is it loads the spring up, and as you load the spring up it gets harder and harder for the oil to push the poppet off its seat, and then that forces the oil to go up to the engine. Now here is the main relief, and this basically is here to set the top oil pressure, because there's no point in just reducing oil pressure and it just not, you might as well just have the thing perform within the parameters you need. With this new engine, the P2 pressure we hope is going to be as much as 70 psi. So I want to try and maintain a 100 psi oil pressure to protect the engine at a minimum 100 psi. So this is set to relieve basically once the system's dialed in at 100 psi. But what that means is if the oil thins out and the pressure would tend to drop, what will happen is this will close to hopefully make the use of the overproduction as the oil thins out. Anyway, that's my thinking. But considering this engine will probably only run for 60 seconds at a time, no great need for coolers, but I am looking at fitting a stainless steel plate heat exchange unit. I'll pass the afterburner fuel through one side and the pressurised oil through the other side, hopefully just to try and keep things in the best conditions. I mean, the cooler the oil, the thicker the oil, the better it works. You don't want to overcook the oil and get it smelling that old liquid carbony burnt smell. And then on here, this side, we have a brushless 3-phase RC motor. In effect, it's a little bit big RC motor. I mean, there's people building drones that would use one of these. The company I use, Alien Power Systems, or Alien Systems. Again, I put a link up, explain everything on there. You need, again, to decide how many RPMs you need, how much power you're going to need, and you need the RPMs is literally the motors come with a kV rating, and it's the kV rating times the voltage that will give you the RPMs that you'll get out of this motor. This actual motor will, I think if I remember, it can go as far as something like 10S, which is 10 cells in a LiPo battery. I'm running it at 6S, so it's well within its design parameter. It's got a good 10mm shaft coming out of it, 3mm keyway, and that's another thing I just want to touch on. The reason I bought using this particular hydraulic pump, and you'll see this on the illustration, this has a little stubby shaft, like a lug that sticks out, and what you have to make is a shaft to connect the motor to there's still some oil left in the system, to the pump. Now you can get pumps with a shaft on, and then you've got the motor with a shaft on, and my thinking is I wanted to try and keep this as compact as possible. So if the pump had got a shaft on as well, then that would have to be this much further apart, and let's be honest, we haven't all got access to dead accurate equipment, and we sometimes just have to use what's to hand, and the longer the shaft, the longer the chances are, the longer the more missed tolerances we're going to have. So potential there for vibrations, damaging things. I just think this is the pump, this little 10mm lug that sticks out is just ideal for this application. As I say, then you've got the motor here. So that's how the oil system, or the pump and the filter. What you need to do then is to get the motor working, and with it being a 3-phase RC motor, you're going to need a electronic speed controller for one of these Ujiba flip jobby wobbies. I use one that's called a VESC. It's an open source. Basically this guy just thought, well, what we've been using for years isn't good enough, I can build something better, and he just made it, he shared everything freely. There's several different versions, but they are far superior to the old style speed controllers. There's a software interface you can get for free. There's so many parameters. If you're clever at coding, you can use your own code to program the speed controller to do different functions. You can make it work, you can set it up so it basically sees an input from a RC potentiometer or a trim pot or something like that, a variable resistor. You can use throttles like you get on the scooters and things like that. So many things you can do with these Vesks. But then what I use is a servo controller. It's something called a Palulo. A friend wrote some code for me. It's the same code that we used to use for the starter motor for the bike jet engine. I've just modified it a little bit, but again, there is ways of doing this probably simpler and easier and cheaper. But for my application, for what I'm trying to do, I want an oil system that is over-engineered, I can depend on. I'm not dead keen on having complex electronics, but these Vesks are pretty robust. They're designed, some of them are for going on these skateboards and these scooters and the electronic bikes, things like that. So they're a well-tested system. They're not something I've designed myself. Easily replaceable, and again, the Palulo needs to be. I can take two with me. Have one spare if there's an issue, whatever. Just swap it out. So yeah, for me, it works just what I need it to do. So on to the subject I want to speak to you about. I've cut the bike up. It wasn't an easy thing to do. I had a moment, I think about it, and I'm like, I want to do this. I've sold the front end, I've sold the back wheel, and the money from that will ultimately go in, well, it already has to some degree, gone into the new project 175 as I'm calling it now, because DIY gas turbine world record jet power go-kart is a bit of a mouthful, people, so it's Project 175. Yeah, I mean, it was what it was. It worked, then it didn't work, and then it didn't work, then it worked. I mean, my partner calls it a bit of a diva, a track diva, to get to the track and then just decide it wasn't going to work, or something to break. Stuff broke on it that has never broke before. On one of the few occasions I got it down the track, I didn't really push it. I perhaps should have got a bit harder, and then the following day an evaporator tube broke and I got flames coming out of the exhaust. So yeah, it's been a bit of a, and it's space. I've not got much space, as you can probably see from the camera shot, in this shed, and I've got to get the new go-kart and engine in here. So that's it. It's gone. It's in bits. The engine and the free power section are going to a guy called Adrian Bennett. You can find him on jetpower.co.uk. He's got a Rolls Royce Olympus on the back of a truck and several other engines. He does a lot of stuff with music studios. But just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for your comments, good or bad. I mean, I ain't perfect, you know what I mean? The videos ain't going to get any better, the editing's not going to get any better. But to those that have already joined us on the Patreon, thank you. It does make a difference. Your money, as I say, has already started to make a difference. We will get there. It'll be worth it. We'll have a spectacle. Your names will be on it. And to anyone that wants help, just message me in the comments. There'll be links below in the comments section for all the parts you'll need to build your own oil system, or at least the pump and the motor and the Palulo and the vessel speed controller. But until next time, people, thanks for taking the time to watch my boring videos. Yeah, even I can say that. Ain't no YouTuber, still no YouTuber. Catchphrase, hashtag, ain't no YouTuber. But thanks everyone, those that do bother to watch my videos, for the kind words that some of you send me. It's support, thank you. And until next time, keep safe, and